Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are discussing getting your priorities straight as a gay man. So, little preamble, little intro. I feel like there are two kinds of gay guys, and one set has priorities. They have goals set out, they have objectives that they'd like to reach, they have very specific targets. Some of them want like a traditional like marriage, family, maybe a dog, whatever. Some of them are like, no, I want to focus on my work and what I'm doing and my career and school. Some of them are very focused on traveling. I think there's a lot of gay people, myself included, who love to travel, love to experience, love to enjoy. And then there's people who don't have priorities. And this applies to everybody, gay, straight, whatever you might be. But I feel like the two kinds of gay are very distinct. There's a very big difference on what your priorities are, or just having priorities in the first place. Just having a list of goals, a set structure that you are adhering to. Maybe your priority is the gym, the gay gym boy. You're really embracing that. You're going for that this year. That's your priority. Maybe your priority is to be, hot boy summer. You're already getting ready for June and July, and you are preparing, you're, eating properly, you're doing everything that you want to do. So there's a lot of priorities out there. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of goal setting, and you set your target and then you aim for it. And I feel like we as gay men don't really talk about this. We don't address this. A lot of us set the priority on getting a relationship or getting out there dating, getting out there in the hookup culture. But setting your priority is very essential. I am not one of these people that judge others really harshly for not having a priority. However, I know that I have priorities and I have specific goals that I would like to get. The traditional marriage, it's not a huge priority for me. Maybe it will be in the future. At some points in my life, it definitely has. When I was just entering my 20s, the idea of having a long-term boyfriend, focusing on that, looking towards marriage, looking towards having kids, looking towards, having a house and developing that kind of stuff, that certainly was a priority. For me, personally, my priority has always been like financial independence, what I like to call like emotional and spiritual independence, where I feel good in my body. I feel good about who I am as a human being. As gay people, we're often told from a very young age that we are sinners. We are bad. We have work to do. We have to, repent and change our ways and be repressed. And I think that really messes with our ideas of priorities when half the world is out there sort of saying like, you're an abomination, you get out of here, we don't want you. It can be really hard to even try and set goals because you feel like you have this mountain of prejudice to get over. And it's like, how am I ever going to do that? I'm just going to live my life and enjoy. And there's really no shame in doing that. There's really no problem in sort of focusing on just the overwhelming sense and just being like, I don't even know where I'm getting dinner tonight. And so it can be really hard to set these priorities and to try and focus on them. But what I would say in response to that, no matter your position, no matter your financial status, your education, your location, no matter where you are in your life in the world today, it is possible to set priorities and to just attempt, apologies for my voice, I'm getting over a cold, but just attempt to reach those priorities in a meaningful way and reach those goals in a meaningful way. What you have to do, obviously, from the get-go is identify exactly what you want. Visualize where you see yourself in 5 years. I always hated that question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But it's not a bad jumping off point to actualizing and materializing what you're looking for. And I'm not talking about manifesting, although there is a place for that. However small it might be, there is a place for that. But the end goal should be your ideal life. And let me tell you right now, that ideal vision you have is going to change. You are going to go through multiple phases, multiple eras. You are going to go through your hot boy summer era. You're going to go through your single king era. You are going to go through an era where you just want that loving relationship, and you will go back and forth. There is no shame in switching it up, changing up the music, and figuring out exactly where you see yourself in the world. And like I said, it can be very hard to see yourself in the world and see that you have a place in this world, because although we might have some great representation, we might have some decent human rights in specific countries, you might have a good circle of people in your family or friend groups, there is still a mountain of prejudice and difficulty to get through. And one of the ways that you can get through that is by setting these goals up and being very focused in what you're looking for. And I'm not necessarily talking about, you have to grind, you have to motivate, you have to focus, because if you've watched the previous video, you know that that's not really my motive. That's not my MO. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in maintaining what I have and maybe slightly expanding certain areas of my life while simplifying and reducing the complexity. So it can be a lot. It can be a lot to deal with. Your priority might be social media. Your priority might be financial independence. Your priority might be taking care of your family, or maybe you have a sick family member that you have to put everything else on hold and deal with this. So priorities can really distinguish the mice from the men, if you will. And I think not only will setting these priorities set yourself up personally for what you're doing and for what you want to do, but having these priorities also for some reason makes you desirable. It makes you interesting. And I'm not necessarily just talking about finding a boyfriend, finding a partner. I'm talking about the people you meet at the gym, the club, through friends, at school, through work. If you have your priorities set and they are your, almost foundational values, you talk about the values people have, and when someone has a strong value, sometimes it can lead to prejudice, but sometimes you can meet someone with a strong value set and you go, man, this person's really attractive. This person has this energy that I want to be around. And so figuring out your priorities and having them somewhat established, and that you're working towards them every single week, every single month, maybe even every year. Some of these priorities will take a long time. Rome was not built in a day, and I'm going to keep throwing out these sayings because they do have truth in them. So this slow, gradual growth and movement, it doesn't have to be growth. It can be just moving from a bad situation to a good situation, which is not necessarily progress. But what is progress? And we need to break this whole cycle of 1% better every day. Because while that is a great sentiment, and it can also be extremely it can be motivating, but it can also be extremely toxic. And it can also make you feel like, oh man, I'm 5% worse today. And then that can be really hard to get out of. You can paint yourself into a really difficult corner and a difficult position where you just feel like you're having a bad month. And at the start of the month you were here and now you're down here. And so just having some very basic priorities set and just say, okay, I need to get through school. I need to get that promotion. I need to move cities. I need to get to Europe. I need to do this. I need to do that. It can be very, very powerful. And every single sort of big event in your life will be the result of random things going on in the universe that you have no control over, and also your individual choices and your agency and what you want. And so by focusing yourself to specific areas that you're interested in, like I said, you become far more desirable to be around, not just relationship-wise, but just as a human being. And it will lead you to the place that you want to be. You might have this vision of your life in 5 years, and you're going to say, okay, in 5 years, I'm going to be financially independent. I'm going to have my degree. I'm going to be living and doing my dream job. I'm going to have my beautiful husband and my 2 shiny children. I don't know why I said shiny, but, and that might be your priority. Is that realistic? For some people, sure, of course it is. But if those are your goals, then prioritizing them and making effort towards them, like I said, not necessarily just progress, but just effort to that direction, you'd be amazed at how powerful that is. I had this vision for my life at 18, and I thought, I'm going to be a young dad in my like late 20s, and I'm going to be financially independent, and I'm going to travel, and I'm going to, be around the people that I love and care about, and I'm going to protect them and support them and be there for them. Has all of that happened in the last 10 years? No. No. Have I become closer to that goal, to that vision? Absolutely. At 18, I think 18-year-old me would jump into my life right now and go, "Oh my gosh, look at all the work done." I'm 28, and although I haven't fully checked off things on my list and achieved these goals in their completeness like I thought I would, although that hasn't happened, I feel great. I feel like the progress I've made on my priorities and my goals is really impressive. It's really good, considering the state of the economy and everything that you can't predict, that universe stuff coming up and bashing you over the head. Despite all of that, I feel really good in my priorities. And I think those of us that don't have the priorities at all, like have no real set goal, we tend to spiral. And you just kind of see these people just trying to keep their heads above water and realizing now, like, oh my gosh, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm in my whatever it might be, and I just haven't gotten what I wanted done. Now, if you're older than me, you also have to remember, like, I have the naivety of youth. So I might be sounding quite optimistic and positive about this, and that's for a good reason. It's because I haven't had those extra 20 or 30 years to really compare myself. I'm comparing myself to when I was 18, and I was pretty much nothing when I was 18. So there has been progress, but you might be at a different stage of life where maybe your expectations have shifted. Maybe you have seen enough of the world and the just insanity that has happened to have a lot more wisdom in this and a lot more pragmatic realism. But for those in their younger generation, I do think it's helpful to be optimistic and to set these priorities. If you're going to set them high, make sure you're working towards them. And if you're going to set them to, just a better place, maybe you're struggling with everything and you just need to set some priorities that raise the bar a little bit and make you feel like, yeah, if I achieve this year, I'm doing great. If I lose that 10 pounds, if I make a new friend, whatever the priority might be, it doesn't have to be this lofty, huge, 2 kids, a husband, and a dog. It like, that's big. And that is becoming very difficult for all of us for multiple reasons in multiple areas of our lives. But at the end of the day, setting your priorities as an LGBT, as one of the alphabet mafia, I think is really critical, because despite the progress, we still seem to have to work twice as hard. And we still seem to have to be conscious of other people's opinions and the factors around us that we just can't change. Society is changing, but it isn't changing as fast as we think it should. So having those priorities, having those baseline goals, very, very crucial. And like I said, the first step is just having a quiet thought, turn off your music, pause the video, and just think, what do I want? And that can be a really hard question. That can be very difficult. My best recommendations for helping you figure those things out, reading. I read a lot, and I've read a lot of classical literature, philosophy, some more modern stuff, some new age kind of philosophy and spirituality. And I think it's really underrated. There are almost an infinite number of thinkers and people who've come up with great ideas who have lived before us. And thankfully, a lot of those people are still here today in the form of books and podcasts and interviews. And it isn't really that hard nowadays to access that information and to get an idea of, man, this person's out there living the life that I want. How did they do that? What did they set? What kind of goals and what kind of things did they do every day or every year that moved them in that direction? Maybe I should try that. The second thing I really think you should do is travel, especially if you're young. Get out of your small town, get out of your city, get out of your country, make it happen. Do whatever you have to do in order to do that, whether it is volunteering in a third world country, spending a few nights on someone's couch in another city, using whatever connections, whatever means that you can, study abroad. There are a huge amount of options to be able to get out of your space. And if you live in a big country like Canada or the United States or Australia or Brazil or wherever, there can be a lot of nuance just in your own country. And so take a trip to Florida, go down to Montreal, just try and experience life in a different part of the world and understand that your life and the lives of the people that you meet have some similarities and they have some big differences. And I really think that the traveling I have done throughout my life has given me such a good vision of what I'm looking for. And I don't claim to know everything that I want to go and do. I don't claim to have it all figured out, but it has certainly helped shape my priorities. And the third thing that I would recommend is talk to people you admire. Reach out to those people and ask them, like, how'd you do this? How'd you get here? And it could be a grandparent, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend your age, it could be someone way older or younger. Don't limit yourself to just the stereotypical people of success. Find someone who you think is really happy in life and then ask them, like, are you? Because a lot of people hide that stuff really well. They hide the difficulty, they hide the hardship. And it can be really easy to just assume that those people got there because of dumb luck or good looks or family connections. And you might be surprised at the things that they've had to go through and the things that they have survived. I'm a big advocate for giving yourself credit for the things you've survived, and the fact that you're still here dealing with all the craziness in this year. It's impressive. And, I give you the applause. I give you the kudos for that. And you should do it for the other people around you, because some people, I hear their life story and I am so amazed at what they've survived and what they have thrived in. They've created an environment for themselves where they are thriving, and they grew up like on the streets, or their parents passed away at a young age, or they had to deal with a sick parent. There are so many incredible people out there surviving and doing so amazing. And they might not think that, but you do. And so clearly they're doing something right. So also give yourself the credit if you feel like you're struggling, because there's probably someone out there looking at you going like, this person's insane. This person is amazing. So that's my 2 cents. Get your priorities straight. And your priority doesn't have to be my priority. Your priority might be, I want to make enough money to go skiing in the winter and then be a beach bum in the summer, working at a little surf shop or whatever. Like, your priority gets to be exactly what you want. And do not let anybody tell you that, like, you have to have your 401k maxed out and your investment portfolio to the brim. Your priority gets to be yours. And it can be great to take advice, but at the end of the day, your priorities are going to come from you, and they're going to match up to your life experience and what you've done in your life. So that's my 2 cents. Priorities, figure them out, whatever they might be, big or small, and start thinking about how you can get there. And with that bombshell, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.